Good afternoon and welcome to the Scale Up Pitch Challenge Semifinals sponsored by Fiserv. The National Black MBA Association is committed to making an impactful and sustainable difference in the communities in which we serve through innovative programs such as the Scale Up Pitch Challenge, which we launched in 2017. Entrepreneurship is one of the 5 core channels of the association because we recognize that it is a powerful vehicle for economic change and the greatest equalizer in wealth disparity. Scale Up provides the unique opportunities for our members to make big ideas bigger by creating startups that are scalable and giving those concepts visibility to early stage investors and venture capitalists. Founders, I am so excited for you and your journey. It is refreshing to see so many familiar faces who have now become family, as well as interact with new members of our community. Through this process, you have begun to gel and provide support to one another, and we encourage you to continue the spirit of support with each other, as well as with the community at large. I know I've said this to a few of you before, but recognize that you did not get here alone. You stand on the backs of those who came before you, the likes of Madam C.J. Walker, John Johnson, Sean P. Diddy Combs, Oprah Winfrey, Damion Johnson, Nipsey Hussle, and yes, even Dr. Dre. Give this pitch everything you got, and when the challenge is done, keep giving. It is now my pleasure to introduce a representative for our semifinal sponsor, Fiserv, and that is Sept, who serves as Senior Vice President and General Manager of Global Debit Solutions. He has 18 years of experience in the industry and has started multiple financial technology companies that have successfully driven product innovation. Most recently, he has served as President and co-founder of AccuLink, which is a debit and alternative payment solution provider, which was acquired by Fiserv in 2017. Prior to that, he co-founded Harbor Payments, which was sold to American Express in December 2006. He has an incredible background that resonates perfectly with our founders and this initiative, which we will hear more about later in the program, but now he will share information about Fiserv. Nandon.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Paula. It is my distinct pleasure to be here. As Paula said, I'm head of digital commerce at Fiserv, and we are honored to be here at the National Black MBA Association's Scale Up Pitch Challenge. Together, we celebrate Black excellence and Black entrepreneurship. Fiserv as a sponsor alongside StartCo and FedEx proudly supports startups, small businesses, and recognizes the grit and tenacity required to launch a business from the ground up. I wanted to take a moment to thank the 10 teams that have worked so hard to get this far in the competition. It takes a lot of courage to pitch in front of so many talented people. And it takes even more skill to get your story across to the judges in less than 6 minutes. From all of us at Fiserv, we wish the teams great success. May the best teams win. Today's program is being broadcast live on the NBMBAA's YouTube channel. Without failure or delay, let's hear from the entrepreneurs so we can help shape their success. Thank you. Back to you, Paula.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nandon, and thank you once again, Fiserv, for your partnership. It is now my privilege to introduce Andre Folks of StartCo, who has collaborated with us on our entrepreneurial efforts this year and has been pivotal to our scaling up, scale up. So for the past 10 years, he has been working to grow the technology startup ecosystem in Memphis, Tennessee, through a venture development organization he founded called StartCo. He leads the change to build and operate new programs and resources for the inclusion of minorities and women, students, and social organizations. Andre, thank you so much for joining us, as well as for all your team's efforts to date. Please tell us more about your company, the process that got us here, and what we can expect today.
Sure. Thank you, Paula, for that introduction. It's great to be with everyone. My name is Andre Folks with StartCo, as Paula mentioned, and we're a venture development group based in Memphis, Tennessee, that originally set out to build technology startups as a means to grow the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Memphis, but have expanded that mission over the past decade or so to better meet the community where they are. And so now we work with corporations, governments, universities, nonprofits, all of which who are trying to grow either new technologies and solutions, new business models, or civic efforts to help grow the community. I'd say over the last year or so, we've gotten to know the National Black NBAA and really appreciated their mission to grow entrepreneurship within their Entrepreneurship Institute. And we were happy to engage with them this year in terms of helping and executing the Scale Up Pitch competition. And so a couple of people from our team, Ryan Ramkalawan and Leanne Grabsky, have been working deliberately with the National Black team to keep them moving forward. And we've seen a good growth in applications, where we saw 265 applications this year, an improvement from about 120 last year. And these applications were from 101 cities and 27 states. Half were existing members of the association and half were not members. So hopefully they will become members and can continue to help us grow here. There is a vetting process that Ryan and Leanne carried out, which helped filter down the teams to about 30 or so. And the National Black NBAA created a review board that was then able to funnel that down a little bit further to the 10 that you're going to see here today. There was one-on-one support that was offered, and we also ran with the National Black MBA and Fiserv and other folks a webinar series providing some content to help people across the country in terms of how they're moving their businesses forward. So we're excited for the semifinals pitch today. You're going to hear from 10 founders who will be pitching their companies. They'll have 3 minutes each to pitch, and that'll be followed by 3 minutes of Q&A from the judges that'll be introduced here in a few moments. We want to wish the founders luck in this great journey that they're on, not just with the Scale Up Pitch competition, but in how they move their companies forward here and beyond. You know, we're true believers with the National Black NBAA that entrepreneurship is a form of economic justice. We want to continue to work down this path to bring more opportunities to the member base under the National Black NBAA. So we appreciate the opportunity to be involved, and we're looking forward to the rest of this competition. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you again. And now let's meet our panel of judges, all of whom have relevant experience within the startup space. First up is someone who you have already come to know, love, and respect, and that is Andre Folks with StartCo. Our next judge is Jean Johnson, Vice President of Global Alternative Payments at Fiserv, where she has responsibility for all digital wallets, including Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Amazon Pay. She has an extensive background in e-commerce and payments with 20 years of experience in corporate environments and startups. Her diverse yet complementary experiences have built a broad understanding of e-commerce and online technology. Next, we have Riley Flynn, a founding and managing partner of GON Adventures, an early stage VC fund that invests in tech-driven startups. The GON community graduates approximately 1,500 startups each year from over 115 independent accelerators, many of which are not in cities that our culture deems to be tech hubs. So we appreciate all of the work that he is doing there. And then finally, we have Rhonda Burns, who has been with Nationwide for over 20 years and currently serves as the Associate Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion. She is also a founding member of AWARE, which is the African American Female Associate Resource Group at Nationwide. She combines her personal and professional passion for inclusion as a driver for her work at Nationwide, but also in the community through board service and volunteerism. So as you can see, a impressive panel of judges. So for us, now let's set the atmosphere and the mood for today. Now, while the contestants cannot hear you, allow them to feel your positive energy burst through technology and cheer them on in the comments section in that feature. So now, let's get to the challenge. Put your virtual hands together for our first competitor, Dom Nelson with Clevtech. Dom. Great, thanks.
My name is Dominic Nelson, founder and CEO of Clevtech, and we get restaurants ready for the on-demand economy and the contactless tech revolution. In a matter of 10 days, the entire restaurant industry changed. Most restaurants quickly implemented things like social distancing, limited seating capacity, and new modes of services to quickly and safely get customers their orders. But even before the pandemic, restaurant operators were trying to figure out, how do we optimize our locations for the 60% of consumers who order online for pickup? How do we free our staff from having to manage takeout counters? And how do we avoid those high third-party delivery fees? With such a massive shift towards online ordering and contactless options, our pre-pandemic invention rocketed into relevance. Imagine being able to walk into a crowded restaurant, grab your order from an insulated box, and go. No long lines, no delivery fees, something that's simple and convenient. Our startup Clevtech calls it the Yummy Box. Think of Amazon lockers, but for food. The Yummy Box is a last mile pickup platform that uses smart locker technology to help restaurants automate the order pickup process. The total available market is at $35 billion. And for our early adopters, we're focused on the 25,000 fast casual restaurants with a market value of $138 million annually. Now, of course, we have competition, but we do things differently. Unlike our competitors who only focus on efficiency and security, we do that and focus on corporate social responsibility. Our CSR approach gives us the lowest cost to build, hardware that can be easily updated, and a power cost of $5 a year versus their $500 a year. In addition to our patent pending technology, another competitive advantage we have is we're the first tech company to introduce 100% recyclable smart lockers to the restaurant industry. When it comes to entering the market, we focus on these very specific things. And of the 5, the one that has been the most successful is our 31-day pilot program. So how do we make money? We charge a flat fee per transaction, a monthly subscription fee, and the cost of the hardware. In year 1, we're projected to do nearly $250,000 in sales. And this is my team. The 4 of us are taking the restaurant industry to a much bigger level. Since our soft launch in March of 2020, we processed over 4,500 orders error-free with our early adopters. We have 24,000 in sales, generating a monthly income. Also, the Yummy Box just passed testing with a global restaurant chain. So with plans and partnerships in place to scale up quickly and seamlessly, we'll use the $50,000 investment to onboard new customers, marketing and sales, and food quality certifications to be able to grow nationwide. Thank you all for your time. I'm Dominic Nelson with Clevtech, and this is the Yummy Box, the future of restaurant takeout. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Judges, you have 3 minutes.
This is Andre, folks. I'll hop in with the questions to kick things off. I understand you mentioned $250,000 in annual revenue that you'll get to. Maybe just shed a little light on how that aligns with your break-even, point.
All right. In order for us to break even, it takes 1 to 6 months. So we charge a flat fee per transaction. Depending on the restaurant and the deal that we strike, the flat fee could be $1. And typically they do on average 15 transactions a day, which is ultimately 60 transactions a week, and then times that by the entire month. So in 1 month, we'll be able to cover the cost here of $2,750. That's what it cost us to build a Yummy Box at this point, buying everything at retail. And then in year 1, we'll be able to carry that out by multiplying multiple locations over the next 6 months.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Riley. Thank you so much. Is the vision that these will always be in the retail location itself?
Yeah, so right now they're physically inside of the location in the 5 that we have. We are working on an outdoor yummy box. There's climate things that we have to concern ourselves with, in addition to rodents and different types of bugs. So being indoors, right next to somewhere that's efficient for the staff to be able to put food inside and the customer to easily go inside and grab, has been like the perfect setup.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm curious, have you thought about your customer acquisition costs across the restaurant industry? You say you're focusing on quick service restaurants. Can you discuss that more?
So we're focused right now as the early adopters, we're focused on the fast casual restaurants. And like I mentioned, there's 25,000 of them. Typically, when anyone introduces new technology to the restaurant space, you'll go to like some type of trade show. And at the moment, those trade shows aren't available. So how we've been able to get these pilot programs initiated is we started in our own backyard here in Houston. We'll go door to door. It's not a typical format that most will follow, but it has been our most promising. And then from there, we also leverage our connections on LinkedIn to be able to get our 31-day pilot program started. And initially, those start off with just a Skype video or a Zoom video where we introduce our technology, we demo it, and then go from there. The acquisition cost right now is less than $300. It's roughly like $175.
All right, any other questions?
Have you thought about the challenges to this space, the competitive market? What prevents another startup from coming in and replicating your product?
Truthfully, there's a lot of differentiating factors. One of them is how we build our hardware. So how we build our hardware is different than any other company. Most companies need software engineers, electrical engineers, and mechanical engineers. The biggest company in this space that creates smart lockers is called Apex. They've been around since 2006, and it cost them almost $9,000 to build their solutions. We can do that. It only cost us $2,000, $2,750. So over time, our hardware is our biggest differentiator. And then our software, we're the only tech company that has a pending patent on bilateral communication. So if there are companies that do replicate over time and try to copy what we do, then our goal is just to continue to try to highlight our uniqueness, because I think it's inevitable that you will have competitors, but what can help you ultimately over time is show why you're different. And I think we've done that very well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dom and Clevtech.
Thank you.
Surely. So our next contestant that we have is Olivia Croom, and she is with Dancing Zebras. Olivia.
Okay, I'm ready. In neighborhoods across the U.S., our children are suffering from an epidemic of rampant tooth decay and associated diseases due to the sugary beverages that they drink every day. Hi, I'm Olivia Crone, and as a dentist, I grew frustrated at seeing our children in this condition. And I remember a little girl who was a patient of mine who had decay all over her mouth. We repaired her teeth, but a year later, she came back with decay all over again, which was like a punch to my stomach. So I asked to speak with mom so I could tell her how to better care for her daughter's teeth. But afterwards, she said, "Doc, I know that sounds good, but I'm just not going to do it." And that was my last straw. So I created Dancing Zebras, an all-natural, healthy kids flavored water with 0 sugar and 0 artificial sweeteners, and it tastes good. Now, prevention is easier, cheaper, and now tastier than going to the dentist for the drill and fill. As you can see, the children's drink industry is a robust one, but there is a market that's untapped for children's drinks with 0 sugar and 0 artificial sweeteners. And we want to be that first mover in that arena. For our go-to-market strategy, we will start in Q4. of this year with our MVP completion. We will execute our marketing strategy, and at Q2 of 21, officially launch Dancing Zebras. Now, our cases have 30 pouches in each of them at $8.50. Our profit margin is 50%, and our average customer will purchase 2 cases per month. And that'll produce in year 1, $170,000 in revenue. And in year 2, with 500,000 cases sold, will produce $4.25 million in revenue. We've compared our unique value proposition against our national competitors with 0 sugar and all natural sweeteners as our strongest unique UVP. And as you can see, Dancing Zebras checks each box. We have a strong executive team with an average of 20+ years at serving at companies like Coke, IBM, and Dentaplex. We have been successful in 2019 and our product formulation completion, our taste test this year. We finished our packaging, established our supply chain. We are ready for MVP. With the prize money, we'll complete our trademark and MVP process, execute our marketing strategy for this year, and in Q1 21, pursue our initial sales target. Thank you very much, Olivia Crone, CEO of Dancing Zebras.
Ms. Croom,
Yes.
Dr. Croom, do you have any preservatives in your product?
No preservatives. But because we don't have sugar in it, sugar feeds bacteria, and other products with sugar in them in these pouches have molded. But because we don't have sugar that will feed the bacteria, we don't have that problem.
Your cost per case, 30 pouches per case at $8.50 seems a bit low. Can you share a bit more about your pricing decisions?
So we are using the sweeteners are a little bit more than sugar, but what we're doing is initially we'll have a lower price with our product until we can get a scale number of folks trying the product. And then because we're starting off in schools and in hospitals, as advised by our business coach, we can get a larger margin. As we branch off to our big box stores, our large scale grocers, then we'll be able to make up that difference with a higher price.
This is Andre.
Yes.
Had a question on your go-to-market channels. How specifically are you going to bring this product to market? I saw it on one of the lower bullets, but we kind of fast-forwarded over that slide.
Okay, would you like for me to go back to that?
No, you could just answer.
So specifically, you want to know about the channels?
Sure.
How I would go. We have a non-traditional and a traditional way of marketing our product, and because I've been in oral health for over 30 years, I have a connection. So with dental offices, with pediatrician offices, we can market this to them to help them in their oral health instructions to their patients. So that is one of our non-traditional ways. We'll also start in school systems. We're talking with an individual with Flint schools. You know, Flint, Michigan had the water problem. So how better to start off with a school system that had water problems in their city. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks. I guess my question is, what's the value proposition to my kid? Right. So I get the value proposition to me, no sugar.
Yeah.
That actually might be the reason my kid doesn't want it, at least in my case.
Yeah. Well, if you have a healthy drink and it doesn't taste good, they're not going to want to drink it. So it has to taste good, and it does.
Awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia and Dancing Zebras.
Thank you.
Sure. Coming next to our virtual stage is Lea Hernandez with Young Authors Publishing. Lea.
Hello, thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Lea Hernandez, and I am the CEO and founder of Young Authors Publishing, and we are a children's book publisher that believes that all kids are story-worthy. We have two unique problems that we are trying to solve. The first one being that 41% of children in our country are living in low-income households. The second is that 7% of children's books, less than 7% of the children's books that are published annually are written by Black, Latino, and Native authors combined, thus resulting in a huge deficit of diversity in children's literature. The opportunity for us is that 56% of our target audience is comprised of Black, Latino, and Native potential young authors. And so our one solution to these two really big problems is to equip and empower children, minority children living in low-income communities to write and publish their own children's books with pairing them with a trained writing mentor, to publish them on all book-selling platforms and allow them to earn royalties through book sales that they can access at their secured savings account at 18. You'll see here our competitors consist of midsize and the 5 major publishers considering Penguin Random House, Scholastic, and Lee & Low Books. Now, while Lee & Low Books is the largest multicultural book publisher in the country, they don't serve children living in underserved community, thus resulting in them not reaching economic mobility. As of a month ago, we are proud to announce that we now have a distribution agreement with Ingram Content Group, which is the largest book distributor in the country. We have a dedicated sales reps that are responsible for our retail partners, public school and libraries. We continue our direct-to-consumer sales as well as specialty sales. You'll see here that we have 3 formats for each individual book, including hardcover and paperback books, ebooks, as well as audiobooks. You'll see the breakdown of our US and Canada pricing as well as our royalty splits. And through the first quarter of 2021, we'll enter into the European market. For our 2020 fall release, which is a total of 9 books, we are projected $270,000 in revenue. For our spring 2021, we are anticipating $300,000 in revenue, which is a total of 10 books. And then fall 2021, a total of 20 books at $600,000. And this is at minimum 2,000 books sold per title. What we do with the $50,000 prize is we would invest $30,000 in printing, which will lead us to $6,500 in books, which would yield $97,000 in book sales, another $15,000 for our production costs to increase more books, and then $5,000 towards our national expansion. We're currently serving children in the Atlanta metro area, but with this, we will now begin serving children nationally. Over the past 2 years, we published over 25 books and printed and sold over 5,000 copies of our books, and this was before we had a distributor. This is our staff and our board who gets things going, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Judges, you have 3 minutes for Q&A.
Thank you. This is great. I can just imagine the kid so excited to have their book.
Yeah.
What is your distribution deal? Are they going to help you promote the books? How are you going to get the sell-through that you're targeting for each?
Great question. So we had different royalty splits with our distributor. So they are earning 18% of any of the transactions that they sell to major retailers like Target, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble. That's in-store purchases with a specifier on Target as they are increasing their diversity for their bookshelves. And we have different sales reps dedicated to different markets. So we have a library sales reps who will help us push books through the school system as well as public, and then as well as the specialty sales markets, which are things like gift shops and zoos, depending on the theme of the book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How does Amazon play into your distribution?
Great question. So Amazon, they are a normal retailer for us. Any retailer for the publishing industry, it's a standard that they have a 45% markdown. That's for any retailer we work with. And so Amazon earns that as well. And our fulfillment warehouse is actually in Tennessee. And so any books that are ordered through Amazon will be shipped from our warehouse into their network. And then for our brick and mortars like bookstores and libraries, they'll order them directly from our distributor.
Just had a quick question on the outcome with any of the youth that you're working with. Could you just give an example when you talk about pulling them out of poverty?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question. So essentially, our young authors don't have to pay at all to participate in our program. We get them through community partners who are already serving our target demographic, and they're paired with a trained writing mentor where they help create a book, as you see here on the screen. And then their book is published on all book-selling platforms. All of our young authors own their own copyright, so they own their own material. And they're constantly earning royalties from their book sales. We partner with different banking partners to have high yield savings accounts. So in addition to the royalties that are being dumped into these accounts quarterly, they're also earning interest on them. With our projected sales, young authors can make at minimum anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 to access at 18 to use towards their post-secondary plans. And that's just a minimum of selling 1,000 copies, which we have it targeted for them to sell 2,000. I hope that answers your question. I think my screen froze there for a second.
You mentioned that you had 3 formats for the books. Can you give us any stats on how those 3 formats are selling through?
Yeah, great question. So right now, our highest is our print hardcover books. I would say that's selling at about like 60% right now. Another 20% is going to our ebooks, and then our lowest as of right now is our audiobooks. But we do see an increase in our audiobooks now that we have a designated studio that we're partnering with in Atlanta to make sure that we have the highest quality for audiobooks.
Awesome. Thank you, Lea and Young Authors Publishing, as well as judges, for your questions. We will now keep the energy going for our next contestant, Erica Plebia with MedHall. Erica, you have the floor.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Erica, founder of MedHall, where we believe that everyone deserves safe, reliable, and efficient transportation regardless of their need. So prior to MedHall, I spent 7 years in clinical and research informatics, building and deploying software solutions for some of the biggest names in healthcare, like Google Ventures-backed Flatiron Health and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So imagine my surprise and frustration when I couldn't find an easy way to transport my grandmother, who was a type 2 diabetic double leg amputee, without lifting her in and out of our car, which was not wheelchair accessible. I knew that there had to be a better way to find and book special needs transportation, but I wasn't sure. So, and I also learned that this was a problem for over 50 million families across the country. So lack of suitable transportation for patients actually means missing critical appointments. So think about a cancer patient missing a chemo appointment or a kidney failure patient missing dialysis. When appointments are missed, these patients often end up calling 911 and going to the emergency room. So these missed appointments and the misuse of emergency services create an avoidable expense of over $180 billion per year for the US healthcare system. The processes that hospitals and insurance providers use for finding transportation are extremely outdated and inefficient, requiring very long phone calls and stacks of paper. And my grandmother, these patients, and our healthcare providers deserve much better. So we created it. We developed MedHall, which is a tech-enabled marketplace that makes it easy to find and book high-quality special needs transportation. In just a few simple clicks, we connect nursing staff and clinical social workers directly with transportation partners who specialize in door-through-door transport for patients with complex needs like wheelchair, stretcher, and isolation. The non-emergency medical transportation industry is huge and it's rapidly growing. The US market is estimated at about 21 billion and growing to 31 billion by 2026 due to the growing baby boomer population. And we're extremely encouraged by our early wins and market validation. Since our 2019 launch, we've already secured 3 enterprise contracts, facilitated over 7,000 rides on our platform, and saved our largest customer almost $2 million to date. There are other companies that have tried to tackle various transportation challenges, but MedHall is the first company to build a solution that focuses on personalized, complex transport in vulnerable communities. So healthcare providers prefer to work with us because of our unique vetting process for our transportation partners, our simple subscription business model, and the wide variety of accessibility options on our platform. We're honored to be backed by Morgan Stanley, and I'm happy to announce that we were recently selected out of 938 startups for Google's inaugural Accelerator for Black Founders. The $50K from this amazing opportunity would allow us to retain customer satisfaction of our product, grow our transportation network, and deploy 2 new contracts, bringing in an additional $90K ARR. So thank you.
Thank you. Judges, you have 3 minutes for Q&A.
Yes, I'm interested in hearing more about your subscription model and the cost of this service.
Yeah, so we charge, our customers are healthcare providers like hospitals, physician groups, and emergency services groups, and we charge them a flat monthly subscription on an annual basis. So they can choose a ride tier from 50 rides to 200 rides per month, and that varies from $2,300 to about $6,800 per month.
This is a space that traditionally has really long partnership or sales cycles. How do you hack that and cut that down?
Yeah, we've actually priced our subscriptions in a way that we don't have to get through as much red tape as like a very large contract. So our average contract value varies between 46 and 85K per year. So that's low enough that it can be approved by a manager or a director in a hospital or within a health system. And we've seen that we can get our sales cycles somewhere around like 2 to 3 months.
Thank you.
Hey, just had a question on the potential for scale. What do you think is needed that would put you in the best position to scale this company?
Yeah, I definitely think great partnerships with transportation providers. We've seen that we definitely have a very unique way in which we source and onboard our transportation providers, but they're key. Quality transportation providers are key to scaling for us, for sure.
Great. Any other questions for Erica and Medhall? All right, then. Thank you so much, Erica.
Thank you.
Surely. So our next contestant that we have is Brian Young with Home Lending Pal. Brian.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Young, CEO and co-founder of Home Lending Pal. Here today to talk to you about how we're building the new contactless way to buy a home. So for any first-time home buyer, if you've ever been through the process, it's very heavily paper-based, labor-intensive, time-consuming, and expensive. And in many cases, for underrepresented groups, there's a lot of redlining and human biases that happen within the process. So much so that 81% of millennials that buy their first home say that their biggest regret is around their monthly mortgage payment amount and the mortgage loan type. What we've done is we've utilized artificial intelligence and blockchain technology to simulate the home buying process to give first-time home buyers a better understanding of affordability risk, approval odds, and budget strains before they actually commit to buying a home. Even better, we're removing human biases in the process and connecting you to lenders based on their actual underwriting guidelines. So what does this truly mean for it? By focusing on consumer first, we're removing sales pressure, we're utilizing your personal financial and credit history information to remove guesswork in the process, we're helping you avoid predatory lending, and then we're utilizing blockchain to help you control your data and to give you more transparency into the back end of the process that is known as underwriting. But what is our true competitive advantage? By simulating the home buying process, we're able to remove human biases in the application process itself. We're able to simulate the impact of different financial decisions on homes you're actually interested in to give you a better understanding of if you would be approved or not. And if you're not approved, we're able to help you with home buying recommendations that will help you get into a better position to be purchase ready. Even more importantly, we're utilizing blockchain to create a financial profile that when you're ready to apply, you can share that with the lender and then go through the process without any human interaction. And the mortgage market itself is a huge market. It's 4.2 trillion, and we represent or play within a 391 billion online loan origination portion. Within the next 5 years, it is expected that 4.8 million millennials will buy homes. They currently represent the largest share of the market at 39%. And year over year, mortgage demand right now is currently up by 40% due to historical mortgage low rates. And we've already identified 5 different ways to actually monetize the system through lead generation, smart contract fees, click referral, appointment setting, and targeted ad revenue. Within the next 12 months, we expect to generate 1.6 million in annual revenue. And then with the next 3 years, we expect to generate 23.6 million in annual revenue. Our team, led by myself, Brian Young, I'm a former Bloomberg Businessweek Top 25 under 25 in the country, and my co-founder, Stephen Better. Combined, we have over 60 years of experience within the mortgage underwriting space, mortgage policies and regulations, and actual demand generation and lead generation for online marketplaces. But we're already doing it. Since launching on August 20th, we had over 700 signups within the first 6 days. We've already created strategic partnerships with IBM, Equifax, and Zillow, and we filed a provisional patent and have current pilots in progress with 2 different banks. And we have a lot of the largest banks in the nation coming to us looking to join our network and pilot with us as well. The $50,000 investment here will help us get through banking compliance with our first initial pilots and then expand our marketplace. Thank you, and we would love to talk more about how they built the new contactless way to buy a home.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes, judges.
Yes, I'm curious. Can you give a quick breakdown on the current state of the technology? A lot of the things you were talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we are currently finishing up our public beta. We will be fully in market by October. Due to our partnerships with Zillow, Equifax, and IBM, they are actually integrating into their APIs. So we're going through public testing right now to ensure that accuracy of the projections that we make. And we've already helped 45 people actually secure their home loans to date.
This is an incredibly competitive space where customer acquisition can get really expensive. Can you talk a little bit about how you plan to lower your customer acquisition costs?
Yeah, so the industry standard for the CPA is usually about $17 to $22. We've actually gotten ours down to $9. Even when you include the cost of APIs and blockchain and artificial intelligence cost per user, we're at about $22 per acquisition or per lead. And then we resell that lead for at its high or at its low, $55, which is sold twice to 2 different lenders. So that would be a $50 profit margin. And if it's a selective with one lender just only buying the lead, it's at $75. So even if you look at worst case scenario that we're converting at $60 per lead, we would still make a $15 profit.
Would you mind returning to the previous slide? Can you talk through your milestones?
Yeah, so we spent about 2.5 years. One of our biggest moats is the regulatory items that you have to get through. We spent about 2.5 years going through regulation. Before we actually had a product and shoestring it, we were able to convince billion-dollar companies to basically change their policies to give us a chance to bring a product like this to market. In March of this year, we were able to get data access for credit from Equifax. In March, we won the NC Idea grant for $50,000. We launched our MVP in May, which was initially a private beta in which we were just testing to try and ensuring that our accuracies or projections were right. And in August of this year, August 20th, we launched our public beta, which, as I mentioned, we have 700 users that came and signed up for the platform with no marketing or promotions. And then we secured our first 2 private betas with, I'm actually in Texas right now doing onboarding for compliance with Happy State Bank and First Bank Southwest. And after that, we meet later this month with Wells Fargo, Federal Reserve, and Fairway Mortgage, which are 3 of the largest lenders in the country. So this 50,000 would help us to scale our pilots to address some of their concerns as far as scale and growth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian, as well as Home Lending Pal. So you have heard from 5 very impressive startups so far. And while I know your anticipation is building for the next 5, we realize you've been sitting for a while and may need a short break. So we will return in 5 minutes. But until then, here is a word from our sponsor.
here we are, brown butter. More people are employed by small businesses than anything else in the world, and they're the lifeblood. And it's our honor and have Brown Butter and yourself receive $10,000 as a grant from Fiserv. Clap, we could cheer.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to have been chosen. This is important to me, to be in this neighborhood serving my community.
Daddy Greens, Daddy Green. We're committed to small businesses, and we thought the best place to start was in Brooklyn. You're the second recipient of one of these grants. Business owners like you, what makes America thrive, and for that we're honored to award you a $10,000 grant, man.
I really appreciate it.
Congratulations. I owe my whole life to Brooklyn, New York. Part of this program is about how we come in and help you all learn from others. As Fiserv, we want to give back to the communities that we serve. And, you know, it's my pleasure to give you a $10,000 grant. And if I could ever help, you tell me. I'm your account rep. I'm your account rep. Can I get a really good tea?
Yep, it's on its way.
They're the best advice in the industry.
The flexibility of having your own business, I mean, there's no price tag you can put on that. It's a lot of sacrifices, but I get to create the world that I want to create owning my own business. So to me, it can't get any better than that. I believe that small businesses really are the backbone of the economy. We employ from within, we circulate money within the community. When you add brown butter to anything, it elevates the flavor of it. I chose the name Brown Butter because I wanted to elevate the cafe experience in Bed-Stuy. I wanted to make a place that people wanted to come to and feel like home.
I feel like I was just on another planet.
Welcome back to the Scale Up Pitch Challenge semifinals sponsored by Fiserv. We hope you made the most of your break and enjoyed the message from our sponsor. As a reminder, let's keep the comment section buzzing with positivity for these startups as they pitch. So now bringing to the virtual stage, Mary Myers with Satchel. Mary.
All right, thank you, Paula. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Myers, and I am the co-founder of Satchel. I want to tell you about John's day. John takes the bus to work, and on his way, stops to get coffee. During lunch, he has decided that he's going to work out. Something about working on his summer bod. After about 10 minutes of jogging, John desperately needs the motivation, so he decides to watch his Netflix show. Despite multiple attempts pecking at the treadmill screen for his password, he gets frustrated and gives up. He wishes for a simpler way to access the different services that he has already paid for. Introducing Satchel. The Satchel app uses our patented method for user authentication. So the value for our end users is clear, and we have further validated this through our user survey. Whether it's to take the bus, earn points, stream content on public device, or pick up your package, with Satchel, you open to a single screen, scan, and access is granted. In our prompt due diligence, we didn't find any competitors that offered this holistic benefit. However, we are mindful of our competition and also differentiation on these different benefits to customers. In order to make Satchel a reality for our end users, we have to partner with vendors. Satchel helps vendors both increase convenience and also improve engagement with their end users. If we take loyalty programs as an example, in the US alone, companies spend $50 billion a year on loyalty programs, but majority, 61%, cite that customer retention continues to be their biggest challenge. In fact, a 5% improvement in customer retention is forecasted to have a more than 25% improvement for the company's bottom line. So, not only is offering Satchel the customer-centric decision, but also helps our vendors to bottom line. From our phase 1 go-to-market, we are excited to share that we have secured either letters of intent or we are in contract negotiations to bring Satchel to a package locker, a loyalty program, and a cardless ATM. This $50,000 will enable us to support product development and more specifically, be able to integrate Satchel's technology with our vendors, as well as work towards developing NFC capabilities. This is critical because it will help us begin our pilot and with success launch Satchel. Our pricing model will be to charge vendors on a per scan basis. Our team invites you to empower our business during this pivotal time. Thank you.
Thank you. 3 minutes for Q&A, judges.
Yes, just had a question. When you were kind of identifying the problem, could you give a little bit more in quantifying either the loss that the end user is going through or the size of the market? Just trying to figure out, what we're really talking about here.
Sure. So to do that, maybe a good example is, okay. So it will give you a kind of scope for, how big will be the market if we just focus on grocery stores by themselves. So when we look at the US in itself, there are 32 million daily grocery store transactions. We also know that 80% of the population uses one form of loyalty program, but of those 80%, only half of them are active loyalty users. So just looking at that and assuming between 0.5% to 1% penetration with Satchel, we're forecasting anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million in revenue after Satchel is launched, simply through the, looking at the grocery store transactions. If we look at accessing public media content, that's a whole other market, and we can consider that as well. But this was the example we picked just because of the ease of entry.
Can you go back to the value proposition for the end user and specifically, who you think your first 1,000, 10,000 users are going to be? So very narrow, kind of who the user is and what the value proposition is for them.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So our channel strategy is we go through vendors to offer Satchel sign-in, easy sign-in method, so they can extend that to their end users. The very easy penetratable market for us is going to be working with loyalty programs. So like I mentioned right now, we have 3 different companies that are willing to, pilot and test with us to see how they can bring Satchel. So for example, if we look at BlendCard, they're a loyalty program management company, and they are interested to work with us. So people can either use BlendCard to access their benefits, or they can use the Satchel app. But the likeliness is as Satchel becomes more available across various vendors, it becomes the single way to access different points of entry.
So I have a concern. These early partners, and similar products with everyone in the loyalty space. Yes, I do have lots of loyalty apps on my phone, and yes, I don't use many of them. Can you tell me what is your messaging that you're going to use to drive adoption of your particular app?
Okay, so the biggest differentiation for us is simplicity. So for Satchel, you open to one screen, and that screen allows you to scan and have access despite who the vendor is. If you compare that to Google Wallets, for example, you basically have to scroll through to identify the correct app in order to make sure that you're scanning at that vendor. For us, the one-step process is a big differentiator, and the method behind that is what we have already patented.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary, as well as judges. Our next contestant is Maya Kane with Mive.
Alrighty, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Maya Kane, and I am the co-founder of Mive. For the women tuning in, we have all felt the frustrations of buying a clothing item online and it arriving not as expected. And for the men, you've probably witnessed it. The lack of useful product reviews, site models not reflecting real bodies, and time-consuming product discovery make it hard for us to make a confident purchase. This leads to wasted time and money on returns, which this year is at a record high. But what if I told you that there's an app that can take the risk out of online shopping? Meet Mive. Mive is a data-driven fashion marketplace that gives women the digital sizing and curation tools to personalize and optimize her shopping experience in the absence of a fitting room, and have fun while doing so. This is how it works. With just 2 pictures, we capture over 100 body measurements using an augmented reality measuring tape. So when she shops in the Mive marketplace of contemporary brands, all product photos are pre-populated with reviews by women closest to her size and shape, gauging fit and quality with ease. Next, we reward all shoppers who leave reviews on Fit. All these reviews are standardized, prompting women to only include useful and relevant information. And lastly, Mive makes online shopping fun. Shoppers can make occasion-specific boards with items across multiple brands and collaborate with friends on outfits. We make it easy to build the perfect look with our drag and drop outfit canvas. All in all, our user experience is built around eradicating returns and making online shopping fun and delightful for women. We have a unique space in the market where we combine the offering of B2B fit technologies and fashion marketplaces, while also layering on community, social shopping, and reviews at scale. We will be launching with 15 brands and acquiring customers through social media, incentivized referrals, and joint marketing campaigns with our brand partners. We make money from the fashion brands. We collect 15% of each item sold on the platform and offer sponsored promotions and advanced analytics package. And here's the team that makes it all happen. We collectively have experience in e-commerce, machine learning, and user experience design, and an advisory board of decorated industry leaders. This is our 3rd year competing in this competition. And since last year alone, we have gained a small angel investment, completed 80% of our development, received a Changemaker grant from ARI, and selected to be featured in Essence magazine. We have already formed relationships with 6 out of the 15 brands we want to launch with, and if rewarded the $50,000, we'll be able to complete our beta test and launch to the App Store. Thank you so much, and I open it up for questions.
Thank you, Maya. Judges, 3 minutes.
Yes, I had a question on the brands. I understand the relationship you're forming with them right now, but what's the ultimate relationship you plan to build with them? So I understand the referral, the piece of it, but where do you really want to take that?
Yes, so, and traditionally right now, if you want to expand to larger marketplaces, which are very viable right now, it is a wholesale retailer relationship where you're sending inventory to a Nordstrom's or a Macy's. We are 100% drop shippers, so we actually have a native connection with each of your Shopify instance, your Magento instance, wherever you host your e-commerce. So an order on Mive looks like an order from your own website. So it's an easy, risk-free solution. But we also provide the unprecedented insights. If you look at Macy's, Nordstrom's, they're only providing data around volume, if anybody returned, how many sizes were sold. We give you, since we capture so much intimate information on our users, we're able to give that back to brands so they can make better decisions. We wonder why fashion hasn't been changed for so long. It's because they don't have the data to actually make informed decisions about marketing and also even changing the product in their own native sizing. So we're taking a better partnership with our brands, way more than our competitors.
Do you have a slide that walks through your milestones? I think I saw one. Could you return to that slide, please?
Yes.
Can you walk us through this?
Yeah, so we had a small angel investment and we're able to, we finished our front end development, 80% complete on our back end development. Because of the work we're doing to better and make fashion more inclusive and intelligent, we got a grant from Aerie, a very large fashion brand, and then also a partnership with them. We're going to be featured in Essence Magazine next month, and I actually get to pitch to Elaine Motroff, editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue, so that's really exciting. But into the new year, that's where we'll be onboarding the rest of the 15 brands and then beta testing with 2,000 users.
What's the, you're trying to do a lot, right? You got reviews, you got brand customer relationship, you got the member, you got the AR measuring. What's your primary value proposition?
Our primary is mastering fit, getting fit right the first time. So if I'm looking, there's so many different companies that are using AR to create like projections so you can see how it is on you. We believe with the reviews are the bread and butter of our application. Someone who actually zipped the zipper, jumped to get the jeans on, and actually put on the items. And so, you know, less than 1% of women's clothing items are reviewed across the industry. If we can bring that up to 100%, we're allowing women to see themselves in the clothing items from like-bodied women. So really mastering reviews and offering that to our users.
Excellent. Thank you, Maya, as well as judges. Now I'd like to bring to the stage Amber Hayes with Second Keys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber, and I'm the CEO of Second Keys. And Second Keys unlocks the true potential of proactive property management. For renters and landlords, poorly handled maintenance issues can lead to a bottomless pit of lost time, money, productivity, and increased tenant churn, especially for preventable issues. In fact, 68% of renters say they leave a property due to maintenance, costing $5,000 per unit to landlords or $5 billion nationally. And the renter population is only going to increase. That $5 billion is actually part of a much larger $400 billion maintenance, restoration, and repair industry hidden within the real estate marketplace that is completely underserved. We all understand pre-scheduled maintenance in our own lives, routine doctor checkups, regular oil changes for the car. These actions help to find and prevent the big issues. But for some reason, this hasn't translated well over to the real estate industry until now. Second Keys is the first property management platform to provide a key maintenance system with 3 simple steps to help everyone work better, manage better, live better. First, we help to pinpoint which properties are at risk for large expenses and which units are at risk for vacancy due to tenant dissatisfaction. Next, we provide each property with an automated schedule for preventative maintenance. The Second Key system tracks each ticket from notification to verified completion, and we also track repair frequencies that are known to minimize on the larger costs. And finally, we provide a streamlined communication platform to connect the tenants with the managers and managers with licensed professionals. Everyone stays happy, and happy tenants stay longer, continue paying rent, and invest in their homes and communities. Now, we have many competitors, and they all have a work order system that tenants can use to request repairs once they occur, but that's a reactive response. Being proactive is what saves time and money, and we're the only platform to provide this. With our business model, we target properties with a minimum of 40 doors. At a monthly subscription cost of $5 per door, our target market has a revenue potential of $100 billion. Our team currently has over 70 years of real estate and technology experience. We have on our platform to date 2,500 units on our platform, been named in the top 10 tech startups twice for Memphis in 2019 and 2020, and was awarded in the top 5 for Startup of the Year last year. And this year, we're on track to onboard 30,000 units. With the $50,000, we'll be able to launch our 30,000 unit pilot this October, which is critical to help us scale in our industry, and is worth $7 million. Please join us on this journey, because the first key to successful property management begins with the individual, but the second key is a property management platform you can trust. Thank you.
Give me an example of some preventative maintenance in an apartment.
Sure. So a lot of people actually don't know, in your dishwasher, there's a filter that actually needs to be changed anywhere between 3 months to 45 days. So with that, if you don't change it, there's actually cascading effects of what will happen. So a lot of times people will think, oh, I need to buy new type of dishwasher liquid that comes on TV in the channels and the commercials. It's what you would think you would actually need to do, but you really need to change the filter. And if you don't do that, then the suction will also stop on the dishwasher as well. So that's one of the things that we put into the preventive maintenance planner.
Can you walk through the features of the product a little bit more robustly in terms of what it looks like and what it does?
Yes, so we have 5 different platforms. So we have the tenant, contractor, property manager, owner, and then in new case, the municipality. So from there, say a tenant has an issue that occurred before we knew, like the refrigerator broke. They would put in a ticket for a reactive response, and it would be sent to the owner and the landlord, or the property manager if they have one on staff. After they receive it, then it will go to the contractor, and then the tenant will be notified when someone is coming to their home. If it is a preventive maintenance ticket, we will actually just target the contractor and the property manager and let you or them know that this piece or this part of the equipment is actually going to break anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 month period. We have an 85% accuracy, and then we give a list of what all needs to be done.
Could you walk through the path to the 30,000 units? How are we going to actually execute on that?
Yes, so we actually have a municipality contract up in the Midwest. And with this municipality contract, in October, we start with 1,500 units. And every other month, we'll be onboarding 5,000 units until we hit the 30,000 mark. And what they have required from us is to have a water filtration API connected, and will be on the dashboard, so all the tenants and the property managers can know about the water filtration that's going on with the units, as well as have 65% of the tenants paying rent online.
Any more questions? All righty. Thank you so much, Amber and Second Keys. Our next competitor that we have before us is Mitch Gilbert with Oya Femtech Apparel.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gilbert. I'm the CEO of Oya Femtech Apparel, and I've learned that most leggings suck. Why? Because they trap bacteria and they can't handle curves. So why are millions of women forced to put up with terrible leggings? We at Oya know it's time to do away with terrible leggings. And today I'm here to convince you to invest in our revolution and to champion women's health with us. We've interviewed over 100 customers and doctors, and we've learned that women love leggings, but leggings don't love women. Women are 200% more likely to contract issues like yeast infections from wearing leggings, but women deserve better. And we're going to give them better. We're empowering women with femtech designs that support vaginal health and curve coverage, and no other legging brand liberates women like Oya. Our breakthrough comes from our crotch gusset design that we are currently working with attorneys to patent. Our gusset has a removable pad that protects the rest of the legging from fluid, 3 ventilation panels, and antimicrobial tech. We also have curve support, 7 sizes, and 3 pockets. We're not spending too much time on this slide, but I want to call out that although our competitors have brand recognition, they're all neglecting women's health needs. And Oya creates a position for itself in this market by focusing on FemTech to fill this gap. And because we work for our competitors, we know that they're not releasing anything similar for at least 2 years. Our pilot taught us that women who want innovative health solutions like Recent Moms and Kickstarter fanatics love us. So we're going after them first as our beachhead market. To capture our beachhead, we're taking a 3-phase go-to-market plan. Phase 1, we're launching our leggings into the market so that women know a FemTech revolution is coming. At the same time, we're getting ready for phase 2 by tapping health experts to endorse us. Note that endorsements may take some time because of the rigorous testing that our doctors want us to complete. Phase 3, we're expanding beyond D2C into national brick and mortar chains. Our total addressable market is $2 billion, and at $85 per legging, we expect healthy margins and a $4 million top line by year 5 if we bootstrap. Still assuming we're bootstrapping, we expect to break even in 2 years, but with more capital, we can accelerate growth to capture a $2 billion market. Our well-rounded team ensures that all of Oya's needs are met. Personally, I've started 3 other businesses before this one, including one in sportswear, and I raised over 100K. So far, UCLA and some of the founders you see here have joined us to become women's champions in women's health, and we're asking you to join us and do the same. Your investment is the final piece we need to get our leggings into the hands of millions of women, and if selected, we'll spend the prize money on manufacturing, endorsements, and expansion. Thank you for the time today, and I'll leave you with some of the reviews of our product testers. Thank you.
Thank you. Q&A, judges, 3 minutes.
Well, I think this is just such a competitive space. Certainly, the legging space in general, but fashion in specific. So designs, colors, fabrication. How do you plan to stay abreast of such a rapidly changing market?
That's why, great question. That's why we believe that our patent will be a strong competitive differentiator, as well as the endorsements that we're currently seeking from health experts. Also, we've been blessed to have so many advisors on our side that have supported D2C acquisitions, such as 3 strategists from Google, as well as 3 mentors who have done manufacturing in industry and fashion with a combined experience years of over 65. Also, I've worked in fashion for a while, and it's just something that we're really excited about. And we've built a team that's oriented around being competitive in this space.
I think the slide right before this one walks through your milestones for the funding. Can you talk through that?
Yes. So if selected, we'll spend prize money by phase. As you can see here in phase 1, we're primarily focused on manufacturing. We've really done a lot of groundwork in building our D2C infrastructure, and we've sensed market need. And so we're just going to focus on manufacturing to actually get that out. Second phase, you can really see that we're going through endorsements. So enlisting health experts for launch and completing the clinical testing that our doctors require of us. And then the third phase, we'd like to spend more money on expansion. And so not just focusing on D2C, but also partnering with some retail chains or smaller boutiques, depending upon how COVID works out, to get our leggings into stores as well.
Can you, we've had some portfolio companies in the space and with clothing, and we've seen them struggle with manufacturing, sourcing, warehousing, and then fulfillment. It's an ever moving thing as you scale. What are your plans there, and what do you have in place?
Yeah, so that's what we've been doing. So really in this initial phase, we've been taking a lot of time to really think about how was our manufacturing set up. And so we've been blessed to really have developed a supply chain that's based in LA. And so it's been really helpful with decreasing our supply chain times, as well as allowing me to be able to go and meet with our manufacturers and everything to actually check quality. So that's the first piece. Second, I think having advisors who are also based in LA who can help support us with that has been really helpful as well.
I have another question. in the feminine hygiene space.
We are out of time, unfortunately. Sorry, it took me a while to get off mute. So we will have to save that question for another time. Thank you so much, Mitch and Oya. Our last, but certainly not least, semifinalist is Kayla Michelle with Pedal.
All right. Well, my most vivid memory from my high school graduation day is stepping foot on stage to accept my diploma and realizing I wasn't happy because I was headed to a school in the fall that I never wanted to go to simply to avoid the $160,000 in debt I would have been in if I enrolled at my dream school, NYU. But I was stripped of an opportunity because it was too hard to find and apply to the scholarships that could have covered the cost. Until Pedal. We're a data-driven scholarship marketplace that makes it easier for students to apply to thousands of scholarships with one universal application and simpler for providers to create and manage them. Our CRM enables corporations to use scholarships as a unique tool to cultivate and develop pipelines of diverse talent. But why scholarships? Well, in the wake of civil unrest, there's never been more pressure on employers to attract talent that really reflects the changing face of the modern workforce. But due to restrictive hiring policies, no companies can legally post a listing on Indeed to hire a Black woman data scientist from Denver. But they can post a scholarship on Pedal to attract that exact candidate profile and offer internships, mentorships, and training to anyone in the entire applicant pool. There's a $122 billion market opportunity between talent solutions, scholarships, and e-learning. And although competitors like Scholly exist, we're unique because of our massive opportunity to scale. See, these other platforms, they don't allow students to apply to multiple scholarships with one frictionless application, which enables us to source a consistent flow of users. They also don't enable corporations to tap into explicitly diverse pipelines of highly engaged talent, which we easily attract because everyone needs money for school. And finally, they don't bridge the gap between campus and career. By increasing student visibility to employers, we're addressing the skills and access gaps that hinder generations of underrepresented youth from achieving professional and economic mobility. We're penetrating the market by strategically partnering with universities, career development organizations, and influencers to ensure self-refreshing user growth. We charge providers varying commission fees and platform fees to host their scholarships. In just 1 year, we grew to a little over 1.2 million student users, matched over $3 million, and done it with a $0 marketing spend. And in January, we're launching our Step Up 20 Challenge in partnership with Forbes Media to charge corporations to invest in a $10 million scholarship fund as a response to the effect that COVID-19 has had on Black students. We've earned a little over $300,000 in revenue from that campaign since June, and we expect to close another $250 in bookings in the next 30 days. And finally, we plan to invest the $50,000 into strategic media amplification to test different go-to-market models and gain mindshare with our corporate sponsors, which we think can yield about $200,000 in bookings. As a National Black MBA Leaders of Tomorrow alum, thank you so much for this opportunity to scale up.
Thank you. Judges, Q&A, 3 minutes.
So I had a question on the corporate value proposition. Could you just talk through, I guess, how long that takes to develop if they're investing kind of downstream in the hopes that there's going to be talent coming upstream to them? Can you just walk through that a little bit?
Yes, of course. So we find that a lot of our corporate partners, they have ranging interests, right? So you have the Googles of the world who are looking for more immediate ROI. You have TD Banks of the world who know that there is a lack of access and exposure for young women in finance. So they want to invest earlier in the pipeline. So we really kind of put that up to the corporation. They have autonomy to decide who they want to invest in. So we have a range of students, anything from juniors and freshmen in high school, all the way up to PhD and MBA students. And we're also exploring alternative education options like boot camps, coding academies, so that we're not really pigeonholing ourselves in the 4-year institution, but it does kind of put us in a sweet spot position because we're able to build out this robust marketplace that is bringing in students for the guise and veil of scholarships, but now we're also able to tap into, how does a student's skills for a local church scholarship apply to, let's say, a Wendy's scholarship, which could then yield an internship or some other training that would make them an employable candidate.
Yeah, thank you.
Kind of as a follow-up to that, who's the bread and butter? I mean, I realize you're kind of talking about everything from high schoolers to PhD candidates, but who do you think your bread and butter is in terms of student?
Yeah, so in terms of representation on the platform, we have about 65% representation of undergrad students, and that's really just because of the awareness around the financial literacy and issue and problem of trying to fund college. But we do find that a lot of our corporations are looking to engage with more senior level college students, undergrad students, so juniors and seniors in college. And then we have some interest as well in MBA and PhD students.
Any other questions for Caleb?
Yeah, I had one more. I think you had mentioned a $0 spend. So I wasn't sure if you were saying a marketing spend or cost to acquire spend. If it's a cost to acquire spend, I'm curious how you're pulling that off.
Yeah, so there is definitely an advantage, a competitive advantage in our company being founded by a bunch of 20-somethings, African-American 20-somethings who speak the language and know how to create content that drives people to act. We also tap into not only my CEO's experience at Google and NBC, as well as mine. I also built out a company before graduating high school and sold it for a little over 7 figures. But we really tap into our advisory board as well to gain exposure. And so that content has really driven us to be able to get a lot of students on the platform. And that's how we were able to amass 1.2 in just a year.
Awesome, thank you. And the 3 minutes are up. Thanks so much, Kayla, as well as judges. So, wow, I would not want to be in the judges' shoes at this particular time to decide who moves forward because there has been some stiff competition. But somebody has to make those difficult decisions, and judges, that's why you are here. So I ask that you now please make your way to your breakout room to deliberate. You have 15 minutes to decide the fate of the founders, but no pressure. While we await the decision, I am bringing back to the virtual stage Nandon with Chef with Fiserv to share some words of wisdom with us. Nandon.
Thank you, Paula. Firstly, those were incredible presentations. I've mentored many startups, many young companies, and I've actually been through presentations like that. And I mean this very sincerely. The ideas were powerful. The thoughts were well crystallized, and whether you win or you do not, you all have a very powerful future ahead of you. So I was going to spend a little time telling you a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. I thought it may be helpful as you go on your own journeys and maybe have some time at the end for Q&A. So my entrepreneurial journey was very much shaped by my immigrant roots. It's really interesting. I've lived in 4 continents. I was born in India. At the age of 2, we moved to Ethiopia in Africa. I lived in Ethiopia till the age of 7, and then moved to the UK, moved to London, where I had my formative years. And then 20 years ago, I moved to the United States. So I've had a lot of experience with change. But I think that my immigrant roots and having that first generation immigrant mindset really gives me a different perspective. So I remember growing up in the UK, I very quickly realized that I wasn't the same as everyone. My clothes weren't the same. My enunciation of the language wasn't the same. I didn't get the same jokes as everyone else got. So I quickly came to the conclusion that to be successful, I had to work harder than the rest. I had to make do with less resources, and I needed to have the confidence as a minority. for the ones of you that have not lived in the UK, 1980-ish in the United Kingdom, in the area that I lived in London, was not very favorable for my complexion. So I've seen a lot of really interesting, I've had a lot of really interesting times there. I've had a lot of growth there, but it's really shaped me as a person. So when my friends were going to vacation to France or to Italy for the summer, I was typically working. I was working and studying. So I remember one of my really kind of formative jobs was a job that I got because I had a friend that worked for this guy, and I did door-to-door sales. If you haven't done door-to-door sales, it is a terrifying proposition for a 16, 17-year-old, which is how old I was. The best case is you get a door slammed on your face. The worst case is you have a 70-pound German Shepherd chase you down the street. But that experience and the interactions that I had really taught me a lot. And I will tell you, it's probably the most difficult job I've ever had in my life. It taught me two really big lessons. One was understanding that selling myself, the words that I choose, the way I present myself is so, so important. And I don't think I recognized that till I was basically selling myself. Because when you knock on someone's door, the first thing is you have to sell yourself and instill trust for them to even let you talk about the products. And the second thing is bouncing back from rejection. As you can imagine, the number of folks that were not interested or just kind of didn't say a word and slammed the door on you, it's really hard to stay motivated unless you've got that resiliency and you've got the ability to bounce back. So I mean this very sincerely, that those are the two things that really stuck with me for, frankly, the rest of my life. So my experiences truly shaped my entrepreneurial journey and my entrepreneurial mindset. And the entrepreneurial mindset is something that I'm really interested in. The entrepreneurial mindset is something I try to instill in my team at Fiserv, with my children, and with my friends and family members. And you should know that the entrepreneurial mindset has nothing to do with just the Silicon Valley types. It is equally powerful in a large organization or a bakery that you want to start or one of the companies that you want to start today. But it's really a way of life, and it really sets you apart from others because it helps you to do things very, very quickly, and it allows you to solve very big problems. So giving you a little peek into my entrepreneurial journey, I graduated doing computer science with honors. I had a family of entrepreneurs, so when I got my first job with IBM, my dad's question after 3 weeks was, when are you going to start your own business? Because you don't want to be working for someone, do you? Question mark. So that's kind of the background that I had. And as I kind of looked out, I had a vision of doing something entrepreneurial, but I was at that point in my life where I was getting really comfortable. I was making good money. I was single. I was having fun. And then my company moved me to the United States. And I was going to stay here for maybe a couple of years and then go back to the UK. And living in the US, in the first 3 to 6 months, this is when the first internet boom was going on, I got the entrepreneurial bug. And frankly, I got the courage to leave what I was doing and start something afresh. By the way, I met a girl from New York, so I was also getting married because I proposed. So I quit my job and I start thinking about doing something entrepreneurial. So The area that I was very focused on was financial technology or payment processing or financial services. And I'd had a lot of experience in that domain. So I'm very fortunate that I've started 3 fintech companies. 2 of them were sold. One of them was sold to Fiserv. That's how I got here. And the one prior to that was sold to American Express, where I worked for a couple of years. In total, we raised about $75, $80 million. And through this journey, I've learned that the biggest fallacy is this notion of a perfect idea or a perfect strategy. Because I'll be very candid with you, many of my successes, and frankly, my team's successes, are predicated on a very heavy dose of luck. And number 2, going to swing at the plate as often as we could. So throughout this journey, as you can imagine, I've made a lot of mistakes. So I wanted to share some of those mistakes with you in the hopes that you don't make similar mistakes. The first one is, I used to get really fixated on the idea. I really thought the idea was more important than anything else. But as I've matured, I have realized that execution trumps ideas any day. So all of you have a terrific idea. There are multiple people that will tell you this idea makes sense. But there are probably more people that will tell you this idea makes no sense. However, you need to have the gumption and the focus to ensure that you execute and you deliver and you're accountable for moving the ball forward. Number 2 is, because I was an engineer, I couldn't really see myself as a salesperson. So, you know, in my high school, many of the folks who didn't get into university got sales jobs. So I'm like, well, you know, sales is for someone else. So mistake number 2 was outsourcing sales when you're the CEO of a high growth company. It is a terrifying place when you realize that after 8 months of your sales team being out there, you haven't closed a single deal. And then you realize that you need to yourself get out there. The CEO should be the best salesperson of the company. Mistake number 3, giving up too late. I've done this plenty of times. You get very passionate about something. I think you should be extremely resilient. I think you should follow through. But at some point, you need to cut your losses. And you need to say, you know what? This is a great journey. I'm going to do something else. And that something else is going to be even bigger. But don't wait too long to move off something that you've seeded that's your baby. The 4th one is getting investment and getting companies or individuals or angels to write you a check that you can cash in the bank is very hard. Don't let anyone fool you into saying, oh, there's a ton of cash on the sidelines and people are looking for great companies. It's all very true, but being a first-time entrepreneur, it's not easy. So if you think that it's going to take you 6 months to raise $500,000, it's probably going to take you 12. So keep that in mind. And last but not least, I was big on getting advisors or board members with resumes. I think it's important to get advisors and board members with resumes. However, many of those board members were too busy to help me. So blend your board and make sure your advisors are a combination of folks that can roll up their sleeves and help you, and also folks that have the brand and the resume. So let me tell you a little bit about Fiserv, and then I'll tell you how I got here and what I'm doing here. I think it may interest you. So for the few of you that may not know Fiserv, Fiserv has 40,000 plus employees. We're one of the largest and most admired fintech companies in the world. We're a Fortune 500 company with 15 billion-ish in revenue. And based on our stock price, our market cap fluctuates between 60 billion and 80 billion. Our clients are 3,000 plus global financial institutions and 2,000 plus merchants of all sizes. Merchants can be retailers, we call them merchants. We process 40% of all payments in the United States. So if you've ever used a Chick-fil-A app to order lunch, or you've used mobile banking to pay the gas company, or you've interacted with a Clover terminal at your coffee shop, or most recently, you've used Alexa to pay for gas at an Exxon gas station. You've used a Fiserv product without knowing it. Fiserv is a company that values diversity in people and diversity in ideas. I came to Fiserv 3 years ago as an entrepreneur of a fairly small company with about 50 people, and we all got hired in. We had no idea how this was going to go. We were very skeptical, to be very honest with you. But I've got to tell you that companies, large companies like Fiserv, and there are plenty others out there, they value entrepreneurship, they value innovation, they value individuals and teams that can deliver things to the market that drive value for their customers. So in a very short span of time, we have matured at Fiserv, and today the business that I run is one of the more important strategies for Fiserv's growth. So what I do and my team does is we enable solutions for global digital commerce. So mobile commerce, for example, the McDonald's app, or for example, the Chick-fil-A app, or very, very large e-commerce companies like an Amazon or a Google, and running their global payments, all the way to really interesting ideas around customer acquisition, around loyalty, and a variety of other things. So I'm very blessed that I'm an entrepreneur that has had the experience at a small company that I've self-started, but I'm also an entrepreneur at a very, very large company that values entrepreneurship and frankly instills some of the key traits that I talked about in kind of the general population. So whatever you want to do, whether it's to start a tech company or to come work at Fiserv or to start a French bakery, the entrepreneurial mindset becomes a secret weapon that allows you to differentiate yourself against others. And I think it's such a powerful idea that it's an idea that can live with you, and you can implement that idea not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life. So with that said, I want to wish all of you the best in your personal journeys. I took some notes. I've got some really interesting ideas. I'm going to be reaching out to some of you. And as I said earlier, may the best teams win, but I think everyone's a winner for making it to the semifinals. With that said, I'll hand back to Paula.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. And we do have a couple of minutes. So are there any, you mentioned that you were taking notes. Are there any high level things that you would say maybe is necessary overall?
Well, I'll give you one high level thought. I was really expecting the maturity of the ideas and the maturity of the companies to be a lot less than what I saw. I was truly one presented, and the general the general competence around presenting their ideas. There are a few that actually stuck out for me because they're kind of in my space. So as I said, I'm going to follow up and see if we can maybe help with a pilot.
Excellent.
If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer questions. I just didn't want to run over.
That's great news, Nandan. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any, are there any questions for Nandan? Any questions? Nandan, do you have some valuable information at your fingertips at this moment that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, well, I can certainly talk a little bit about kind of.
I meant, I actually meant the results that we've been anxiously waiting.
Yes, so I was gonna.
Perhaps you have them now.
I feel like I'm at the Oscars. Hold on, let me get. Let me make sure I got it. Okay. So I've got my virtual envelope. I opened it. Incredible, incredible set of winners. Let me start off with in third place we have Med Hall. In second place we have Second Key, And in first place, we have Pedul, P-D-U-L. Congratulations to all of you. We very much look forward to you going through to the finals, and are delighted to be a sponsor, and are very hopeful that the $50,000 prize that one of you will win will be very valuable in growing the success of your business.
Thank you so much for that, and a big thank you again to you as well as to Fiserv for your sponsorship. To all competitors for making it this far. I agree with you 100% that all of you are winners to make it this far. And then, of course, a big congratulations to our 3 finalists. I look forward to seeing you all in a couple weeks, as a matter of fact. So our conference and career fair this year is September 23rd through 25th. It is a virtual experience. On the 25th is when we will see the 3 competitors pitch and then see who will win the top prize. So you definitely don't want to miss it. I realize that not everyone who is tuning in is an entrepreneur, and some people might actually be looking for job opportunities. And our conference is the largest conference where employers come to look for Black talent. This is just an example of some of the ones who will be there. So if you are looking for an opportunity, we encourage you to register right now. Make sure that your resume is in place so that you would be able to interview potentially with our companies. In addition to the interviews, we will also have professional development sessions where you can learn and grow, which is what our association is about. This is just a highlight of some of the high-profile speakers who will be at conference. Again, you do not want to miss it. If you ask how much does it cost to attend conference, so glad you asked. So you will see the price for a standard pass. For the standard pass, that simply gets you into the career fair. If you want to see all of the amazing sessions, including what will happen at Scale Up, then you need to get a premium pass. And because we recognize that during these times, it is very difficult for some, if you find yourself in need of applying for a hardship, I encourage you to do so, and you will see the details for applying for that hardship there. Again, conference and career fair where we will have the Scale Up finals on Friday, September 25th. It will actually be the crowning jewel of the conference. So you do not want to miss it. And this is all of the details on how you can register. With that, again, I thank you all for your time, attention. Again, congratulations to our finalists, and we will see you again next time.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I feel like I was just on another planet.